What's going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday. Hopefully everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, flu test, test for norovirus, RSV, or something else, I hope you have tested negative. If you did test positive for any of the viruses, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long-term and no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Wednesday edition of the Virus Update for Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is where I do the daily virus updates as needed. And as of lately, it's been just about almost every day because things have been really busy with these viruses. Flu is running rampant all over the United States right now. Flu is really bad this year. COVID was not as bad this winter, but you know what? Flu, COVID, norovirus, which norovirus is off the charts. All these viruses put together has really created virus soup and has really strained hospitals this particular virus season. I'm hearing a lot of reports from different people who work in the hospitals saying, you know what, this is unlike anything they have ever seen before in their entire career. They've never seen things like this at their emergency departments, where it's just a constant, non-stop flow of people. Starts off a little quiet in the morning, then as the day goes on, it just turns chaotic. I'm hearing that even the night shifts at the hospitals are just very busy right now. So, yeah, you need to be informed with what's going on with all these viruses, and that's what I do here on my channel. Want to stay informed? Subscribe to my channel down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Share this video with anyone you know. Hit that notification bell, and of course, leave your comments down below. All right, a couple things before we start. First off, it's a very busy news day. We have a lot of news stories to talk about, which again has really been filling the gap with this limited data coming from the CDC. And to be fair, I've seen nothing from the CDC this weekend. I don't think we're going to see anything from the CDC. I would be shocked if we do. And then we do have some other things to look at. You may hear some wind behind me. Nothing I can do about that. I hope that this microphone has noise cancellation for that. Usually it does, but today is just particularly bad. Constantly howling wind in this particular room of our house. So apologies in advance for that. All right, let's get into the news, because as stated, we do have a lot of news stories, and some of them, within them, we do find out some interesting bits of data. I'll explain. First off, high school sporting events canceled Tuesday due to illness, and this is in the Sequoia County, I believe in Oklahoma. So, yep, they are having issues with people being ill and sick. We're seeing this at a lot of schools, and because of that, they are canceling events. Then you move out to western Tennessee, where schools announce closures due to illness, and it looks like 3 schools are dealing with illnesses at this time. And as we all know, it is the peak of virus season, so I suspect this will continue. But the one thing I have noted, and you might be able to note it as well, because if you watch my videos, if you watch each and every day, you will notice about the last week and a half to maybe 2 weeks, a big increase in the number of schools. It seems like during the weekdays, and sometimes Saturdays as well, and you know what, you could say Sundays too. I think last Sunday we had one. It seems like there almost goes a day with where I do not have an update without at least one school, and in this case, I think we just listed 3 here, and then, of course, what's going on in Oklahoma as well. So, yes, this is a problem. Alrighty, in Louisiana, this is the first news story that's going to lead us to some additional data. Louisiana is reporting very high influenza-like illness activity across the state, and you will see in this, it's showing this chart here with a very high number 11. Again, CDC data may not necessarily be updated, but we can go through this the data here and see some things from the state level that are up to date. And it looks like the key points here, the key in this is the flu percent positivity rate is 12.9%. That is down slightly, but they are still dealing with quite a bit of flu in Louisiana at this time. And you can see here it has peaked there and is dropping and is tracking close to the 2023 to 2024 season. And at this time, it says laboratory intensity for activity. Laboratory activity is showing up here at low intensity at this point. It did reach moderate intensity at the peak, and we do see this, which is not a good thing. More, deaths are starting to occur in Louisiana, and we can see that it looks like it is on pace once again for 2023, 2024. A little ahead of it at this point. Last year at this time there was a dip and then it went up once again. We'll have to see if it peaks as high. Last year it did get all the way up to high intensity, so that would be concerning if that did happen. And emergency department visits at this time are running slightly lower than other seasons, and they are dropping. But here is one thing that is of concern, a big concern. Take a look at RSV. Now, RSV has peaked, but you can see here that RSV, the wave, it was actually a little bit later this year. And we're seeing that with all the viruses in the majority of the states, and we can see it is still running relatively high for RSV emergency department visits at this time. And RSV circulation, yeah, it is still running high in Louisiana at this time. Alrighty, moving on. In Pennsylvania, and I do need to refresh this, Riverside Borough police warn residents to avoid wild birds after encountering a sick goose. So, yeah, Riverside Borough. And really, this is something, precaution that you should probably be starting to practice everywhere. If you see an animal or a bird that just does not look right, no matter what animal it is, no matter what the case may be, do whatever you can to just avoid it. And, some people like to go to the parks to feed the ducks and whatnot. Now's not the time to do that. I would not be doing that. I used to do that. You know what? There's several reasons not to do that. Number one, you could encounter a sick animal. You could a sick bird. And number two, having these birds congregate together is not a good idea, which is why about a week ago I started making a recommendation. Hey, maybe you're a person that uses a bird feeder, or you put out some other method of food for the birds. Sometimes squirrels congregate within that as well. You should really consider not doing that right now. I get it. It's harder for them to get food right now, but, having them come in mass congregations and mass flocks and large amounts of birds together close to each other, it's not good. It helps spread this virus even more, which is something that we don't want to happen. All right, a Veterans Affairs study, that's what VA stands for, VA study shows COVID more severe than flu and RSV. And we notice. And you know what? For some people, yes, it's going to show up where, well, I had COVID and it was fine, but then I had flu and it was really bad. Well, did COVID weaken your immune system? COVID can do a much more effective job at weakening the immune system than the other viruses. And also, for many people, yeah, COVID is more severe than RSV and flu. I have had flu myself many years ago, but back before people would get tested. I was never actually tested for it, but it was all the classic symptoms. We're talking about 10 years ago now. And I can tell you COVID, when I've had it twice now, much worse. That virus I had didn't leave any lasting symptoms. I say I had flu 10 years ago. We will never know because I didn't get tested. But the point is, if it was flu or whatever it did not leave lasting effects and was not as severe as what I have had when it comes to COVID. Alrighty, if you want to read this full study, you can. And here's one thing I do want to point out also. Higher COVID death rate for both these viruses. And we have been seeing that still being the case to this day. Even with vaccines, there is still a higher death rate. That could change at some point. We'd like to hope COVID's death rate would come down. But again, if you want to read this full study, it is already posted on the site. And there will be a thread today with all the news stories that I use in my update. Alright, moving on up to Edmonton, Canada, which is closing the dog parks after an outbreak of an unknown illness. Symptoms are cold-like, such as congestion, nasal discharge, and coughing. Veterinary hospital says, yes, this is in dogs, and they are temporarily closing the parks because of an outbreak of a serious but unidentified illness. And this decision was based off the advice of local veterinarians. So this is something we'll have to keep an eye on. And it does say here, as this could be a highly contagious virus, gatherings of dogs should be avoided at this time. And they are sounding the alarm before the situation gets more out of control. Alrighty, continuing on. It increases in illnesses. Illnesses are increasing at Kansas schools. We should have put this with the other school reports, but whatever. This is your third round of school information for today. Yeah, schools are doing really bad at this time, but there is a reason why I put this here, I think. Wichita, Kansas. Kansas parents are being alerted of an increase in flu-like symptoms at schools. Andover schools sent a letter home to parents on Tuesday informing them to be aware that there has been an increase in illnesses, including influenzas A and B, COVID, and other seasonal viruses. Symptoms include a fever over 100, chills, vomiting, a cough, and sore throat. You know, all the classic things that do pop up at this time of year. But hey, they actually did mention the words COVID. So that's good to hear. And of course, they are advising that if your child is sick, please keep them home. I know so many people don't. There was a case in Pennsylvania where someone had TB and they thought it was okay to go to school. No, it's not okay to go to school if you're dealing with TB. Speaking of TB, let's talk about that now. We've heard about the TB outbreak. I talked about this, I believe it was late last week, the TB outbreak in Kansas City, and people have been putting comments galore down below saying, did you know that there's a TB outbreak? Well, yes, we did mention it last Friday, but I haven't mentioned it since. Then I found this article, which gives us 8 facts about Kansas City's tuberculosis outbreak, and we're not going to go through all of them, but we're going to go through some of them, which I do think is important. It starts off by saying in the outbreak, there have already been 2 deaths reported in 2024, and I know what you're thinking. Wait, 2024, we're in 2025. No, this article was posted today, and it says here, 8 alarming facts about the Kansas City outbreak. The death toll rises with, again, 2 deaths since 2024, and there is a couple counties that are dealing with problems with this virus. Wyandotte County stands at the epicenter of this crisis. Hope I said that county name correctly. With 60 of the 67 active cases concentrated in the area. This concentration of cases in one region has health officials particularly concerned about community spread. And then it says the silent threat. Beyond the active cases, 79 people have been identified with inactive tuberculosis infections across Wyandotte and Johnson counties. While these cases aren't currently contagious, up to 10% could develop into active infections if left untreated. Then it says here, treatment challenges. Patients face a grueling 6-month treatment regimen, starting with 4 different medications for the first 2 months. While effective, the lengthy treatment period poses challenges for both patients and healthcare providers. Then it talks about there being a vaccination gap. It says despite the existence of a tuberculosis vaccine since 1921, it's rarely used in the United States and potentially leaving the population more vulnerable to outbreaks like this one. And it says the growing trend, this outbreak is part of a larger national trend with tuberculosis cases rising constantly from 2020 to 2023, breaking a nearly 30-year pattern of decline. And of course, there is the risk that this could continue to spread. So yes, tuberculosis, it is continuing to be an ongoing problem, and they are dealing with a big outbreak there at this point, which is not a good thing. All right, Tuesday's performance of Tina the Turner musical was canceled due to an illness, and there was also an illness in a country music singer. Parker McCollum did have to cancel a show in State College, Pennsylvania, and it says he's starting to recover, but get this. He put, I was in the bushes for about 10 minutes, just as violently sick as I've ever been in my entire life, McCollum shares. Yikes, that does not sound good. Now I wanted to show you this. This is from the UK. This has to deal with norovirus cases, and this is compared to the pre-times, before COVID-19. And get this. Here's 2024's confirmed cases. Take a look at this. I mean, you can see it's much higher on this red line than it is in the blue line. What's the blue lines represent? Well, the blue lines represent the weekly average of confirmed norovirus cases from 2013 to 2019. And we are seeing similar stories like this with some of the other viruses in various different places where the levels are just behaving much higher than they did in the past. You have to understand something. When it comes to COVID, COVID is wrecking immune systems, and because of that, we're starting to see the effects of these weakened immune systems, and these other viruses are spreading much more easy. All right, I was debating whether or not to share something with you, but I think I am. We have a section on the website which has to deal with studies on COVID in kids. Raise your hand if you are a victim of watching the RFK Jr. hearings this morning, trying to make him the head of the HHS. And one of the things he said, it got to me, and it got me kind of mad. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. But he said, well, COVID's not really a big deal in kids. It's not going to do... You get where I'm coming from here. I'm sure by now you've heard something about him. And, well, this is one of the things he said. We actually have an archive on our website of, various different COVID studies. And there's a section called Studies on COVID in Kids. Well, these studies would prove otherwise. And it says almost a third of preteens, teens with long COVID, still not recovered after 2 years. Young children more likely to be hospitalized for COVID-19 than other kids. Increased emergency department visits for children with long COVID. Long COVID rates in kids revised upward. You get the point. Do I need to read every single one? I don't think I do. Please, if you're one of these people that, are worshiping what he says sometimes, please think about this. COVID can be serious in kids. Take it serious when your child gets COVID. And I did even see someone tweet in the medical community on X saying, I'm not really concerned at this point now if my child catches COVID. Really? Plenty of studies that say otherwise. So let's move on from that. Canada, the viral activity level for COVID-19 is high. Flu A is high. Flu B is moderate. RSV at this time is running high. Taking a look at air quality levels, if we can. I've been having trouble loading this today. And probably what we'll find is the West Coast is continuing to have its problems. Yeah, here it is. The West Coast is continuing to have its problems with air qualities for various different reasons. We do see the problems that were in Texas spread a little more north today. Oklahoma is dealing with some various different air quality issues today. Not too bad in the Northeast today. Few air quality sensors that are reading high for whatever reason, but overall, on a widespread scale, Northeast is not doing all that bad today. Taking a look at Pinellas County, Florida, and wow, how many sick person calls do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I believe there's 8 there. Yeah, 8 sick person calls, and this one here at the bottom, Orlando Health. Now sometimes they do show various different, maybe these ambulances that because this comes from a website that operates ambulances, I believe. So maybe sometimes they do service other areas, but 39 minutes waiting at the hospital to discharge the patient. That's not good. Taking a look at Philadelphia yesterday, it was over 800 EMS incidents. Once again, 808. And a live look in at what's going on in Montgomery County shows something unusual today. Take a look at this. Not 1, not 2, not 3. 4 altered mental status calls at this time. Kind of unusual to see that many of those. I've been seeing an increase in the number of cardiac arrest calls lately. Chester County, Pennsylvania, has been seeing a ton of respiratory difficulty calls saying you saw. The air quality is not as bad here today, so that is relatively concerning. It could be related to these viruses. Also seeing strokes starting to pop up more. Post-COVID, there are studies that say the risk of stroke can increase, and technically we are coming on the backside of a COVID wave. Some people did get COVID over the holidays, plus, that massive wave we had last summer, so all these things you do have to consider as a reason why we're seeing more calls of these types of things than we did in the pre-times. All right, Pennsylvania hospitals, we can see here. Yeah, it's very busy. The Lehigh Valley is slammed. Southeast Pennsylvania is slammed. I was talking to someone this morning who used to work in a hospital, and her friends have been telling her it's been crazier now than it has ever been before in their entire career. That's what I was referring to at the beginning of today's video. I think I did say something about that. In New Jersey, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hospitals with issues. And this morning there was, I think, just 1. As the day goes on, the issues seem to get worse as more and more people show up at the emergency room. Taking a look at Walgreens for this week. 10.9% is the national COVID positivity rate. And now, before we get to New York State COVID numbers, I do have to show you this. Yes, another news story. New York added 48,000 flu cases in 1 week. Yeah, 48,000 is the number of new flu cases that were added. I believe this was within the last week or as of January 11th. Again, that is a really high number, so flu is hitting New York State at a high level at this time. COVID cases, 859. Better than other years, but again, we still have a couple problems. One, the people that do not test or get the at-home test. And two, take a look at this. Look at the trend here, 7-day trend. That blue line, it is just barely even dropping. It's just pretty much went up and just going across, dropped a little bit, and now it's just continuing to go across. Other years, like last year, you can see it here on the chart. And I should probably maybe take this out a little further. We can actually do that. Let's just go back 19 months if we can. And you can see here, other years, it would go up at the holidays and go straight down. This is behaving much similar to the summer wave a little bit, where it took a long time for it to go down. And oftentimes when it takes a long time for COVID to go down, it increases the length of time that there are risky things. Like, for example, a fast wave, you have a period of high risk, and then that period of high risk does drop. Longer wave, that period where it's very risky to do things, well, that just lasts much longer. So we'll have to see how long this goes, and God forbid, I hope this is not the baseline where we're stopped, where the next wave starts from in a few months from now. Let's hope that's not the case and that this does start to go down relatively soon. Good news is, though, the hospital situation is dropping, and I would say maybe it's starting to drop a little bit more now. So that is a good sign. 820 people in hospital, 74 people in the ICU at this time. Now let's take a look at a few notes for today. First off, after today, I am going away to our place upstate to get some rest and maybe do some fishing. It's been known before. I don't know, did we ever do a video about ice fishing? I don't think we ever have. I don't know that there'll be one this time, but I hope to get in at least one day of ice fishing this weekend. You know, that's good. It's relaxing. It's good for the mental health. It's good to get a break. So I'll be away from tomorrow through the following Monday. However, I am going to still have a few videos. First off, you will see tomorrow a virus update. Now, it's going to be early, meaning UK, Ohio, probably New York will not be in yet. But oftentimes, by early morning, I already have several news items out for the following day. And I'm sure for that day's video, and I'm sure I'm going to find a lot of things. And I'm sure there will be more than enough stuff to fill a video for tomorrow. Second of all, we are going to give our channel's intro a refresh. Going to be recording that this evening. If I can, I'll be releasing that on Friday. Now, if something should go wrong and I don't do any videos during this period, obviously you will know about that. We'll probably also do an out in the wild update, maybe Saturday or Sunday. I'll take a nice walk in the woods, something, and we'll talk about that. And Monday is probably a day where we will not have an update, and there may be a short in between as well. All right, finally today, some data from CJS 83172, Florida. 638 new cases. New Jersey, this is a daily number. Both are daily numbers. 886 new cases and 3 new deaths. New York, daily number, 1,232 new cases. Puerto Rico, daily number, 171 new cases and 5 new deaths. Maryland, weekly, 1,048 new cases and another 20 new deaths. Maine, weekly, 573 new cases and 3 new deaths. Michigan, weekly, 3,780 new cases, 64 deaths, one from 2023, with the rest coming since the last week of November. And Virginia, weekly number, 2,677 new positive tests. And on a final note, he did add that Pennsylvania, PA, reported 52 COVID deaths last week and 591 COVID deaths since just October. So, yeah, those who said it's no big deal this year. Hi. Hello. COVID was a big deal for the 591 families who lost a loved one. Yes, deaths are still occurring. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Wednesday edition of the Virus Update. As noted, we will likely have another update out again tomorrow. And I will see you all again next time. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that notification bell. Hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, we're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers this year. Share this video with anyone you know. And, of course, leave all your comments down below. I will see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, Stay safe, everyone, and have a fantastic Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for watching.